What's going on, everybody? Josh Pocock here, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the open source alternative to tools like n8n, make.com, Zapier, as well as potentially even Amazon AWS Lambda. This tool is called Trigger.Dev. It's open source background jobs with no timeouts. All right, we're going to dive into it, show you how you can self-host this, and show you how it compares to all those tools I mentioned, where its strengths and weaknesses lie, and how you can start using it today. Let's dive right into it. All right, guys, so Trigger.Dev versus alternatives. Plus, I'm going to show you how to self-host it. Now, you can self-host it in many different ways. I'm going to show you how to do this with Coolify, using traffic, and I'm going to show you how to do all that. So what's going to be covered in today's video? So we're going to talk about what is Trigger, how it compares to the other tools, and then, of course, how to install Trigger. Now, this video may be a bit longer. I'm going to try to speed run through specific parts and get straight to the point so you guys can get the most value out of this. But I'm also going to include timestamps. So you can also watch on 1.5 to 2 times speed if needed in some areas. Like, I would maybe suggest that when we're going through the comparison, just because you're just getting a sense of how it compares to the other tools, but then maybe slow it down a bit once we start getting into the more technical parts, such as the install process. And just a disclaimer, I'm just starting to implement this tool. I'm very excited about this tool, Trigger, and plan to make a lot more videos around it. So subscribe to make sure to stay tuned for that if you want to stay up to date. There isn't too many videos talking about this and showing you guys real life use cases, but I'm also still learning about it. And if I miss anything, if you guys are some Trigger experts, or if you may see something that I leave out, then definitely leave it in the comments down below to help out myself as well as others who are watching this. Okay, so without ado, let's dive into the comparison. So Trigger versus n8n, make.com, Zapier, AWS, Lambda. All right, so some of these tools are, you may say, they're a little bit different. Like, you know, n8n, for those of you who've been following this channel for a while, I've done many videos on n8n. I've said how I love n8n, and n8n is way better, and it's just better than make.com or Zapier. Zapier, I mean, yeah, they're just completely charging you for really minimal features. Make.com is better, but it's still clunky and it's harder to do things. n8n is better than make.com, and there's also open source. It's a little bit more technical, I guess, but it's really not. It's, once you actually learn it, it's better than make, and you can do more stuff, but there is a few bottlenecks that I have found with n8n. And then yeah, I have included AWS Lambda here because I know a lot of people use it, as well as now Trigger.Dev. So we'll go ahead and just go through this chart real quick. I'm not going to read everything line by line, but I'm just going to skim through it so you get a sense of how it compares. So Trigger, open source, yes. n8n is open source. The other ones aren't. Ease of use with Trigger, I'd say like medium to, I guess some people may consider low, because you're going to have a bit of coding knowledge, or at least develop a bit of coding knowledge. n8n, the benefit with that is it's the best no-code one I found. And then make.com, no code. So it's pretty medium again. I'd say these two are a little bit easier than Trigger. And then Zapier is very easy, but it's, I mean, to some extent, but it's, you know, it's not that good. And then AWS, ease of use, not as easy as these other ones. And then integration capabilities, very high with Trigger. And then, so no, actually I would say about this now, integration capabilities pretty high with almost all of these, I guess, and we'll show you that in just a second on the Trigger website. But you have more customization with stuff like Trigger. So customization options, high. n8n, it's still lower than Trigger, I would say, in terms of building out flows and whatnot. But yeah, also too, guys, just so you know, like I did use AI to help me with this chart here. So this chart isn't like 1000% accurate. That's why I'm giving you guys a little bit of my opinion as I'm reading this, but this is like a general sense. And guys, this whole document, which is a step-by-step SOP on how to install Trigger, which we're going to go through in just a second, is going to be linked down in the description below for 100% free. You can just go get access to this document so you can see the comparison, as well as you can see this step-by-step download instructions. Okay. So yeah, suitable user base. So Trigger, it's more suitable for developers. But one thing I want to say, I just want to do a quick disclaimer, guys. And yeah, so if you're like, okay, I don't know about code, maybe if you're very like not tech savvy at all, maybe you want to use something like n8n. Check out my n8n videos. I'll maybe leave some link down below showing you how to self-host them. Or you can use n8n's cloud version, but honestly, I would recommend self-hosting it. It's really not that difficult. But also too, guys, I want to say this, we are in a crazy time right now. It's never been easier to, one, learn new skills, or two, just, yeah, to basically learn new skills, right? If you don't know anything about code, you could really learn a lot right now, and you could start developing this skill over time, even if it's slow, small steps day by day. It's never been easier, because right now you essentially have a full-time 24/7 expert at almost every single topic that you can ask every little nuanced question to about literally any stupid question, right? That you can't just have a human there to always assist you for. And you can, you know, explain your situation, your context and everything, and it will tell you exactly how to solve the problem or how to think about it. And of course, I'm talking about AI. So Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever the case may be. So yeah, even if you're not like a developer or coder, first off, Trigger isn't too difficult to learn. From at least from, obviously, like I said, I'm still learning it and whatnot, but just from, you know, I kind of get a sense of what it, you know, what to do with it and how to use it. And it's not like rocket science by any means. Okay. It's mainly just, you got to know maybe a little bit of TypeScript, JavaScript, a little bit about code, etc. And that you may be saying, oh, that's a lot. Trust me, if you dedicate like a month, 2 months, you're going to start picking it up over time. Okay. So that's what I just want to say. And anyways, so n8n, somewhat technical users, make.com, Zapier, a little bit more general users, and then Lambda developers, and then best for development automation, n8n advanced workflows, these two simple workflows, Lambda backend services, coding flexibility high, n8n I'd say more medium, yeah, medium, because it's not as flexible as Trigger, and then these two a little bit more limited. Zapier, I'd say more limited even than Make. Lambda, very high. And then pricing model. Now, like I said, they have open source, so we'll get into that in just a second. Okay, I'm just going to skim through some of this because, yeah, you can just read the chart on your own. I just don't want to go through the whole thing. Scalability, high, very high with Lambda, medium. So essentially the point is, Trigger has more advanced features. It has a little bit more of a learning curve than these other ones. And yeah. And we're going to take a quick look before, so here, I'll just finish this. So based on the comparison, Zapier is the most limited of customization and coding flexibility, though it excels for non-technical users. Make.com offers a balance between ease of use and capabilities, but lacks the open source advantage. n8n provides strong open source option and good customization and integration capabilities suitable for more technical users. AWS Lambda offers the highest level of coding flexibility and scalability, but requires significant technical expertise. And I believe it's a lot more expensive. And then Trigger.Dev stands out for our open source solution that combines ease of use with powerful development focused features, making it particularly attractive for developers who want both flexibility and simplicity. Okay. So now I'm just going to quickly take a look at the website here, and then we're going to get into the self-hosted install. Okay. So the reason I'm looking at the website is, one, the UI is really nice. Not that that fully matters, but yeah, you're going to get a sense of a few things that this can do. So like, here's like different examples of like how you would set up a task within Trigger, or like to execute a task within Trigger. So like AI task, video processing task. So transcribe a video using DeepGram. All right. So it's written right here in TypeScript, and then cron jobs. So Airtable to sync Airtable to the database, wait. Right here, workflows, concurrency, retries, PDF to images, semantic search, AI agents. So really cool stuff. Trusted by developers at these companies: AppSmith, Twilio, Cal.com, Verizon. How it works, I'm not going to, you know, go through everything line by line, but deploy and scale to any size, write simple, reliable code. There's a few things I want to kind of highlight down here. So yeah, you can take a look at the website. Link will be down below. Working with your existing stacks, so it works with many different stacks. So loved by different developers. You can see all the different testimonials or things people are saying about Trigger.Dev. So we have, I believe this is one of the, so yeah, this is someone at Superbase. I've seen a lot of different people saying really good things. You know, I think they're backed by Superbase, one of their backed by the world's best investors, founders, and operators. So Y Combinator, Superbase, these other ones right here. And then, so yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And also too, I'll leave a link to the docs in the description down below too. Let's go ahead and start with the install. Okay, so to self-host it, you're gonna need a VPS. I'm using Contabo, but I mean, you can really use anyone. So check the self-hosting docs, which are right here. You can access it either in the description down below or just go to this doc. Everything's within this doc. And they mention specific requirements, and they suggest Debian for the VPS. So if you go to the docs here, this is about self-hosting. So they recommend requirements for CPU, 8 GB RAM, Debian or derivative, and then optional separate machine for working components. So we're just going to be doing, there's different ways to install it. You could do single server or multiple different servers, split services. We're going to do one server. And yeah, there's other ways they talk about it here using ngrok, all this stuff. I'm going to show you a very like kind of simple way, basic way to do it. But yeah, so you're going to want to point your domain that you're going to want to use for Trigger at the VPS. So whatever your IP is, go into like Cloudflare, which I'm using, and point those DNSs to the IP address. Now, I'm not going to explain you how to do this. I mean, you should know how to do this. If you don't know, just ask ChatGPT or Claude how to point a domain to DNS to a VPS IP. And then, yeah, so do that. And then keep in mind that you can also use Trigger Cloud. If this is too difficult for you to self-host or whatnot, then you can use Trigger Cloud. But like I said, this is an exact SOP on how to do it. So if you just follow these steps, you should have no problem. If you have any questions, let me know in the description down below and I'll do my best to help you. All right, so once you have your VPS, you're going to want to SSH into it, and then you're going to want to decide where you want to clone the repo. So I just going to clone it right here. Well, I actually already did it, so I'm just going to show you exactly what to do. So you're going to want to run this git clone -b and then v3, because we're going to be doing the v3 branch, the version 3 branch of their GitHub repo right here. You can go check out the GitHub repo too. It has some explanation on how to do everything here too as well. And yeah, see, if we go to v3, this is the repo we're going to be using, the version 3, not the main branch. Okay, and then once you clone it, you're going to cd into the Docker file, which is the directory, and then you're going to, okay, you don't have to do this because yeah, you don't have to do that, I believe, since we already are specifying the branch right here. And then you're going to want to run /start.sh, and this is going to start the installation scripts, and it's going to prompt you like basically just say yes to all the different prompts. It's going to ask you if it wants to create a environment variable file, and you're going to want to say yes, and it's going to ask you a couple more questions, just basically like it's pretty standard questions. Okay, and once you do that, so like if I go ls here, you'll see this is what the repo looks like. We have the start.sh, what we just ran, and then actually if I go ls.-a, we're going to see all the files. So you can see this .env file that was created. You're going to want to go nano and then .env. All right, this is going to open up this environment variable file. Now I'm not going to do that because I have my information in there, but this is the environment variable file. So it's going to look something like this by default. Okay, so you're going to have all of this in your environment variable file. This is the default one. The stuff that is highlighted in black and dark, bold, is what you're going to want to do, right? So I'm not going to go through all of this, and there are some things too, like you can uncomment out if you actually know what you're doing and you want those. Like you actually don't even need this one right here, but I'm just going to leave it there. You can comment this out if you don't want it. I just put it there. You can read the comment right here, what it's about. And then this right here, this is the auth for GitHub. So you're going to want a GitHub account, and you're going to want to go to GitHub. Okay, so you're going to come up here to your GitHub in your picture right here. You're going to click that, then you're going to click on settings, and then you're going to scroll the way down, and there's going to be something that says developer settings. You're going to want to click on that. It's going to take you here, And I'll leave this link in the description too. It's github.com/settings/developers. Then you're going to want to click on OAuth apps, and you're going to want to create a new OAuth app. Okay, so this is the OAuth app. You're going to want to scroll all the way down, and this is how you're going to want the setup to look like. For the homepage URL, this is the domain that you're pointing towards your VPS that you're going to be using for Trigger. So I'm just putting domain.com as it just showing you guys. And then for the authorization callback URL, you're going to want to use your domain, whatever it is, subdomain.domain.com, and then /auth/github/callback. Okay. And I'll leave this in the documentation as well, so you can see it. Okay, and then when you're in here within your GitHub app, you're going to see client ID. This is the client ID right below here, where you're going to want to copy that. And then you're going to want to generate a new secret. Okay, those are the two keys that you're going to put in your environment variables, the secret as well as the client ID. So within the document, I added the direct link where you go to GitHub right here to your settings and developers to create the app. And then I just gave you a reference here. Homepage URL will be your domain. And then the authorization callback URL will be your domain /this. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So like I said, you're going to add your auth GitHub client ID right here, and then your secret right here where the X's are. This is optional. You technically don't need this, but yeah, you can use this if you want to get like emails and stuff, emails working. They use Resend, which is really good for sending within Next.js. So resend.com, I'll leave a link down below. If you want to use that, you can sign up, you can get your domain, you can set up your domain verification within Resend, and then you just add whatever email that you're using to send from, reply email, and then your Resend API key. Now this isn't mandatory, but yeah, so once you set everything up, you can sign in through GitHub Auth. It says you can also sign in through Magic Link email. I was having some issues with it. I may have fixed it though. I didn't test that part out though. But yeah, if you're having issues with the Magic Link, then just use the GitHub Auth. And yeah. So if you're trying through Magic Link though, if you don't have Resend set up, it will send the code in the terminal. But yeah, and if you set up Resend, it will send it to your email. So you can test out the Magic Link if you want, but I'm using the GitHub at the moment, right? That maybe I'll change that or try it out, whatever. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Anyways, so here now it's going to generate you, like I said, when you run that in setup script, it's going to automatically generate you your OpenSSL rand hex keys, your Magic Link key, session secret, your encryption key, your provider secret, your coordinator secret. I would save these somewhere just so you have them, just in case. And then everything else is pretty much the same, except for you're going to want to, for your trigger protocol, make sure you uncomment. So when these things that I'm highlighting bold, they may have a hashtag in front of them. You're going to want to remove that so that they're uncommented. And then you're going to, yeah, this is trigger protocol, HTTPS. And then your trigger domain is that same domain. This is the same domain. It has to be the same domain that you're using in your GitHub auth and all that good stuff. Okay. Once you do that, you need to connect traffic. Okay. So you can use, the reason I'm saying Coolify and traffic is because I've done videos on Coolify. If you don't know about Coolify, you don't need to use Coolify, and you could use just a reverse proxy to link up your domain to Trigger. You could use anything. But I'm going to show you with Coolify, okay? So I'm not going to explain the others, but with Coolify, it's actually very easy to set up. You just go to coolify.com. I've done .io. I've done many videos on this, and you literally just run this one command, and it will set this up on your server. So it's like self-hosted on your server. Now, you may be asking, if you have Coolify, hey, Josh, well, doesn't Coolify have its own Trigger app? Now, yes, that is true, and you can try just installing Coolify, and you'll see Trigger right here, Trigger, and then Trigger with external database. Now, I was trying around with this. I didn't fully spend hours trying to do this, but I did see one of the founders in Discord mentioning that it's not the official way and it has some bugs and stuff. So I just didn't do it that way. You can try it and see if it works. I think I did it and I was having some issues signing in, but I don't know. If you want to try that, you can try it. But I know this way that I'm showing you is a surefire way. It works. But anyways, so this is what your Coolify will look like once you get it set up. Now, Coolify uses traffic by default. Yeah, if you're not familiar with traffic, it does like reverse proxies and whatnot. So now I'm going to show you how to set it up with traffic, Coolify, and the reverse proxy, so you can get your domain hosted with hosting the Trigger. Okay, Trigger.Dev. So what you're going to need to do is, now you can do this either through the command line or through Portainer. I like using Portainer sometimes, but I'm going to show you both ways. So the command line method is, you're going to want to run the following command. So start. So yeah, once you run this right here and you got your environment variables good. Now, if you just one thing too, guys, if you change your environment variables and the Docker containers are already up, you're gonna have to restart that. So Docker compose down, Docker compose up to adjust those environment variables. Okay, so this following command right here, if you run it in your command line, it's docker network connect docker underscore web app and then Coolify dash proxy. So Coolify dash proxy, once you have Coolify spun up, this is the container for Coolify's traffic service. So what we're doing here is we're connecting Coolify proxy, aka traffic, to docker underscore web app, and docker underscore web app is the network of Trigger. Okay, so this is the network of the Trigger web app. Okay, so what you need to do is this is going to add traffic to that same network, and this is like a mandatory step. And then this command tells Docker to connect the container named Coolify-proxy to the network docker underscore web app. If you want to verify that the container has been successfully added to your network, you can use the following command to inspect the network, and that would be docker network inspect docker underscore web app. So if you run this, it's going to show all the different containers that are connected to that network, and you should see the Coolify proxy there. Okay, you can also do this in Portainer. I'm not going to like show you exactly how to do that right now, because honestly, this, if you don't have Portainer already set up, this way is going to be quicker. But I do like Portainer, so it's definitely, if you don't have Portainer, it's definitely a cool app I would suggest checking out. But this is how to do it with Portainer. You just go to Coolify proxy container within your Portainer and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you can just use a GUI to join this specific network. And you're obviously going to want to join the docker underscore web app network, which is the Trigger network. Okay. Now, if you just do this and then you restart your proxy server on Coolify, it's going to be disconnected from Trigger. Okay, the reason being is because we're going to have to actually change the Coolify traffic config file first. Okay, so if I'm in my Coolify and I click on servers, then I'm going to see my local host. You're going to click on that, or whatever server you're using, because you can have multiple servers connected to Coolify. You're going to want to click on proxy. Okay, now once you click on proxy, you're going to see configuration. All right, so this is what it's going to look like. You're going to see the config file, and this is what you're going to want to edit. Okay, so make sure you don't click reset configuration to default unless you like mess something up and you don't have anything here that matters. But whenever you save it, the save button's up here, just as a little side note. But this is a templated version of my config file, and the main stuff that you're going to want to change is what I highlighted in bold. Okay, so what we're doing here under networks is we're adding the docker underscore web app right here, and we're putting external as true. Okay, so you can add that in. And then what we're doing under networks over here is, you'll see there's Coolify up here. We're adding docker underscore web app. Okay, so those are the two main changes that we're doing. All this other stuff, you should be good. You don't even probably need to do any of this. But if you are encountering issues, so like I said here, go to server, select your server, click on proxy, edit the config file, the bolded lines in the example config below. You don't need to copy my whole config, but the bold items mainly. Now, like I said, I believe the Coolify/traffic config file by default has everything set up correctly for Let's Encrypt. But if you're having any issues, you can copy some of the other command/labels from the config file below if needed. I'm not going to go over all these labels and config files, but I do have some specific ones here too. Just as a side note, I'm not going to cover this in this video because it would be a whole other topic, but I do have the labels here and commands for if you want to set up the dashboard for traffic and view that. But don't worry about that unless you know what you're doing. You could maybe check that out and just copy some of this. You would need to change this, of course. Anyways, The next step is you're going to go to dynamic configurations and click add, and then you're going to add the config file below and change the for your domain name, of course. So like I said, if you go to dynamic configurations, you click on add, you could just name this Trigger.YAML, and then you could literally just copy this and paste it over. But like I said, you're going to want to change these two bold items right here, which is your domain, to the same domain that you're using everywhere else. That trigger domain that's in your GitHub auth, all that good stuff. Okay. From that point on, you can go ahead, save this, and you can go ahead and click on restart proxy. Now, if you have your domain linked to your Coolify, say if you have like a custom domain for Coolify, sometimes when you restart the proxy, it actually like stops it. And then if you stop the proxy, you can't access it through the custom domain. So if it does do that, go to your IP address, and then whatever port you're using for Coolify. I believe by default it's port 8000. Yeah, it's port 8000, and then you'll be able to restart it, restart the proxy. Okay, so just to confirm one more time, you've cloned the repo, you've changed your environment variables, you ran the setup tool to get everything, the containers ready with Trigger, and then you connected the Coolify container to the Trigger network, and then you basically change the config file in your Coolify traffic, your main one, by just adding the networks right here, and then you added a custom dynamic configuration, which is just for traffic, and you change the URLs right here. This right here is pointing to the internal port for traffic. And then once you restart the proxy, you should be good to go. You should have your traffic set up here. It's going to look like something like this. Once you start, you're not going to see this. When you go to tasks, it's going to look like this when you first set everything up. I'm on the cloud version right now, just so I can show you guys. But under tasks, it's going to say get set up in 3 minutes. So you can run the CLI init command in your project. So what you can do is you can use Trigger with Remix. You can use it with Node.js. You can use it with Next.js. So for this example, I would just use Next.js. I like Next.js at the moment. I know OpenAI just switched from Next.js to Remix though. So interesting stuff there. Anyways, so yeah, for Next.js, you could just npx create next app at latest. Answer all these questions. I would suggest using TypeScript. And once you do that, I'll show you kind of an example. This is a new project I just created right here. So we are using the source file. I actually already initialized Trigger, but all I did to do that was I just simply ran this. I did pmp dlx trigger.dev, blah, 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 blah. I ran this. And after I was done running that, I ran the CLI dev command right here again. And then it's going to, once you run the first one, it's going to ask you a couple questions. It's going to ask if it wants to add an example task right here, which it did, just a very simple hello world task. And then if you run this right here, it's going to actually you'll actually start to see that task within Trigger. You'll see that task right here within Trigger. So here's the hello world task, as you can see. And yeah, like I said, guys, I'm going to do more videos actually showing you building things with Trigger. All right. This video is mainly just to introduce you to Trigger, as well as show you how it's kind of different, or like explain to you how it's kind of different from some of the other tools. All right. And as well as show you how to install it. All right. The reason I'm not showing you everything else is because this video is already long. I don't want to make it too long. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button to stay up to date with the daily videos. We upload videos every single day on AI, automation, business growth, automations, workflows. Still, I'll do more videos on n8n. I still will continue using n8n for certain things, and Trigger for certain things. But yeah, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. What's your favorite automation tool? Is it n8n? Is it make.com? Is it Zapier? Is it Trigger? Are you a Trigger user? Do you have, like, if you know anything about Trigger, or if you think I missed something that's important, let me know in the comments down below. Always, always want to be improving the content and making sure everyone else is getting all the important information here. So let's start some discussion down below. If you see anyone asking questions, maybe you know the answer to, I'll do my best to try to help you guys out. And if anyone else knows the answer, then you guys can add your 2 cents in as well, guys. And yeah, thank you guys so much for the recent 5,000 subscriber goal. 6,000 subscribers is on the way next, and then of course 10,000 subscribers. So appreciate all the recent support, guys. And just like I said before, the full document SOP of me going of every single thing to install this is in the description down below, 100% for free. So you can check out this doc, get access to it, and all that good stuff. And I have a link here to our free community, our free Discord channel, our free Facebook group. So you can go check this out, stridecommunity.com. And like I said, if you got any value here, then just leave a like and subscribe. It's free. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in tomorrow's video, guys. Keep hustling, keep grinding, and of course, guys, accelerate your stride. Take care.